What's going on? What is this? What is this? Is that Yoko Shimomura? Wait a minute, is this Hold the phone, is this Verum Rex? What is this? I'm hitting levels of confusion I didn't know I could hit. What is this? It's a low-key Verum Rex project? Are we just that deprived of Kingdom Hearts that we're just starting to, like, see Kingdom Hearts related things that aren't Kingdom Hearts? So those may have been some of your thoughts as you were watching the reveal trailer for an upcoming action RPG known as Reynatis. And don't worry, for the people that don't know about this, you're not the only one. This sort of flew under the radar. It was recently revealed during the Nintendo Direct that ended up happening, but only via the Japanese Direct. Mainly because, as of right now, this game is only slated to release July of this year in Japan. This game, though, as much as it really is its own thing, definitely has a certain level of Yozora type Verum Rex vibes. Now, of course, the first obvious thing is this game takes place in Tokyo, Shibuya, which a lot of video games do. You can't just be like, okay, because video game now takes place in Shibuya, it is instantly ripping off Persona. Or of course, in this case, instantly ripping off Verum Rex. The other thing that we should also keep in mind here too is Verum Rex isn't even a real video game. It's a fictional video game that exists within Kingdom Hearts 3, though we are guessing that perhaps maybe later on down the line, Verum Rex might turn into its very own thing, might become a spin-off to that of Kingdom Hearts. However, you cannot say that this does not remind, especially Kingdom Hearts fans, of like what's going on currently in the Kingdom Hearts story. I mean, just looking at the main protagonist as well, while it's not definitely one-to-one when looking at Yozora, there are most certainly some similarities. For some reason too, when I also look at the Reynatis logo, I just instantly think of the Verum Rex logo, and like putting them both side by side, like they don't really look all too similar, but I guess because of like how red and blue is represented within Yozora, and that is clearly a color theme going on here to represent two of the main protagonists for Reynatis, the general location, the male main protagonist right here, as well as it being an action RPG, yeah, you can bet your bottom booties that Kingdom Hearts fans were shitting themselves thinking, oh my god, we're getting Verum Rex. The composer of this game is, in fact, Yoko Shimomura. She is working on this. That's why the music, as the trailer begins, is like, wait a minute, is this Kingdom Hearts? Because it sounds eerily familiar to Nachtflügel, or the track that plays during the Kingdom Hearts 3 secret movie. You could even say Final Fantasy Versus 13. A lot of Yoko's stuff, though, does actually sound very similar. She's got a very distinct sound to her music. That's what obviously separates her from the rest. It gets a little bit crazier, though, because Nojima, who has been the scenario writer towards Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, the OG Final Fantasy, the current Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the upcoming Rebirth, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 13, and even looking at the cancelled Versus 13 project, is the scenario writer for this game. Now you might be wondering, is this a Square Enix game? No, it's not. This is a Furyu, these guys. I have never heard of them before. I've done a little bit of research on them. Really, what they're mostly known for is Japanese exclusive games, and probably when looking at Doraemon. This thing. I know that this character's super popular overseas, but this thing, they make a lot of games for this guy, this thing. I don't know what this, a bear thing. Blue bear. Cat, bear. Blue cat, bear. Bear cat. Cat, blue dog, cat, bear. Bear cat, blue cat. Furyu, though, is both a publisher and a developer, but again, they don't really have a big catalog. They're not really that well known. They aren't actually the developer of the game, though. They're just the publisher. The developer is Natsume Atari, which, once again, not very well known. So this isn't exactly coming from the most well-known publishing and development studio in that regard. It kind of seems like this team essentially just recruit freelance developers, form these teams, and then they develop their games. So as much as we haven't heard from them, this could finally be a big hit from both of these names, just considering the Square Enix entities that are a part of this team. We can only hope. While this did debut during a Nintendo Direct, it's not Switch exclusive. It is also releasing on PlayStation 4 and 5, July 25th this year, so not too far away. But however, Japan only. But when we do look at Furyu's catalog of games, at least the ones that have gone outside of Japan, when we look at NIS America, Xseed, or Atlas, sometimes they pick their games up in order to publish them around the globe. So we can only hope that in the coming months, one of these three will end up picking up Reynatis in order to publish for an international localized version. There are going to be 2 playable main protagonists in the game. We have a female protag, Sare Nishijima, and a male protag, Marin Kirizumi. This story is set up in a world where it is quite literally Tokyo Shibuya, and it's a world where magic doesn't exist. However, both of these characters are magic users, so there are going to be, I guess, some people in this world that have magical capabilities. The female protagonist, though, is part of a police force, I guess you could call it, known as the MEA, which, if I were to take a wild guess, could stand for something like Magical Enforcement Agency or Magical Enforcement Authority, and it would seem like Marin is actually wanted by the MEA. There are 2 state modes for the characters, which is described over on the official website known as Suppression Mode and Release Mode. Suppression Mode basically conceals your identity so that all of the civilians around you just think you're another person. Release Mode is going into your magician state to then, of course, engage in combat. If, for instance, Marin were to go into Release Mode while wandering the streets of Shibuya in front of civilians, everyone will freak out and be like, wow, that's one dedicated cosplayer, and the MEA will then start to swarm you. This sets up this dynamic where for both of the playable characters, they're on opposite sides of the spectrum, and it's going to be cool to see basically how their stories cross paths. And because both of these characters are playable, how is the flow of the game going to work? Will you select the character you want to play as and engage in their story when you first start the game, then you finish one story, go on to the other, or will it sort of go back and forward? As you progress through one event, you then move on to another with, say, Sari. The other thing I was kind of thinking of, which is always an interesting concept, is the Dream Drop Distance drop gauge system. I did notice that on the heads-up display for both of the characters, there's this little circular gauge with like 100%. Can you imagine that, like, if that drops to 0, you then switch to the other character, like quite literally a DDD drop gauge system. I know most people didn't really enjoy the drop gauge system, but if implemented right, I think that this serves for a really unique gimmick for a game, especially one like this where you're looking at 2 completely different polar opposite sides. We do also have otherworldly creatures on top of other magic users that we will be fighting against, so this could perhaps also be another part of the MEA's job, is to protect Earth from knowing about these other creatures and potentially being attacked by them. Though at one point in the game it seems like Shibuya is just completely invaded by whatever these creatures might be. Or it could be a situation where only the magicians are able to see them. There will also be sub-characters, which I'm assuming are party members, and these are going to be different depending on what character you're playing as. I'm not too sure, but just judging by the heads-up display, you can do something to interact with the party members. I doubt if they will be controllable, but you can actually use the triggers to do something with them. Could this possibly just be simple commands whilst you're in battle, or is this more of a team attack type of thing? Who knows, but there is a type of sub-character party member system. It looks like you can have 2 special attack abilities that are bound to X and A for Switch, and what will be triangle and circle for PlayStation. We've also got a hit counter on the left of the screen, what a lot of hack and slash games end up having, e.g. of course DMC or Bayonetta. And it looks like pressing up or down on the D-pad can activate different usable items like potions. If we're looking at just the general exploration, it seems like you're pretty much just going to be exploring Tokyo Shibuya, though again, going back to that other piece of footage from the official website, it may even look like you go to other otherworldly places. We see the female protagonist here in a forest of sorts with otherworldly creatures. So it might not just all be taking place in Shibuya, there might be some fantasy-esque locations that you go to as well. However though, it does look like it's more of a segmented area type of setup, maybe rather than like an open world. It's sort of hard to gauge because again, we don't have that much footage, but just judging by this little mini-map that we see in one piece of footage here, yeah, it looks more like small explorable areas. I guess think akin to that of like Kingdom Hearts. And it's really hard to tell, but it almost seems as if there is a perfect dodge system. I'm a sucker for these like slow down time if you perfectly dodge, perfect dodge systems. Kind of looks like there might be one here, just judging by this footage. Not too sure. My overall thoughts though on the gameplay is it's really just hard to judge at this point because there's very little gameplay. They didn't show off much at all, which again is sort of surprising considering that release is only about like 5 months away. I'm unsure about this one just because it is coming from both a publisher and a developer that isn't necessarily that well known, and right now it's not even going outside of Japan. So this could either be something incredibly unique or a complete and utter flop. Either way, I think that for most Kingdom Hearts fans, this will be something that piques their interest. I know mine is. However guys, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about this in the comment section down below. Like I know as of right now, the Kingdom Hearts community are doing what the Kingdom Hearts community does best. We start to theorize, we try to start to connect the dots, we start thinking to ourselves, is this kind of some secret, I don't know, Verum Rex project? Is this like the original world that Yozora is from, because we don't actually know the original identity of Yozora? Yozora is probably also not like his name. That's like, you know, is Nomura somehow involved and we don't know? What is this? I think these are the side effects of Kingdom Hearts starvation. Don't worry, I'm feeling it too. As always, thank you so much to my patrons. You guys are turkey-tastic. Thank you so much for the support. Be sure to check out my other social media platforms and subscribe. That'd be super cool, you know, if you're feeling nice, if you're feeling generous, hit that little subscribe button. I promise you, I'll make it worth your while. That's all from me today, guys. Hopefully you're having a fantastic one, and we'll talk real soon.